Good morning. My question is about the city of Seattle being the 5th largest LGBT population in the country, 4.8% and growing. And like cities like DC, Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, they have offices of LGBTQ affairs, which are paid staff positions that advise on issues of government, operations, policy, community engagement, and provide training and technical assistance. Seattle's had a number of laws and policies on the books, but it appears as though they're not implemented unless something happens. For example, a city employee had a negative experience transitioning on the job, and once that happened, the city then came up with some guidance. Also, data is not consistently collected on LGBTQ youth, adults, and families, and then not reflected in program or policy design. For example, the Seattle 2035 Comprehensive Plan left out specific language around LGBTQ people. My question is, if elected, would you advocate for an Office of LGBTQ Affairs? Why or why not? And how do you plan to engage with the LGBTQ residents of Seattle to address issues of inequality, safety, and affordability?
Jenny.
The short answer is yes, I will. And I can promise if I'm mayor, there will be a paid LGBTQ person who's looking at that, and it will be the mayor.
Besides the mayor.
And we're going to make sure that that is embedded in everything. Look, we've got to make sure that every person has opportunity. You know, it's part of my life's work, so it's in some ways easier for me to know where the issues and problems are and how it's often overlooked, because people think that struggle's already over, and it's not. You know, we have to, you know, when I was driving here, I was thinking, you know, I loved Barack Obama as president, I tell you, and I loved working with Eric Holder. For the entire time I was U.S. attorney, my partner of then almost 20 years could not be on my health care because it was prohibited under federal law. So, you know, whether it's workers in the city government or people outside the city government, I am going to make sure that we are conscious about all of those issues you've raised. You know, as U.S. attorney, we investigated, brought hate crimes prosecutions, we did anti-bullying efforts. You know, we've got to, as a society, make sure that whether it is LGBTQ youth, or the people struggling to pay their rent or find an apartment, or the people in their workplace are protected. And the city plays a vital role in that. I can promise you as mayor, I will continue that effort.
Just to follow up, so would you want a separate office? Would you advocate for that?
Yes.
So I also believe it's a great idea, and yes, I would advocate for that, set it up myself. I think, you know, one of the things you raised is really essential, that if we're not collecting the data, if we're not understanding the problem, we will never figure out the tools to fix it. So yes, we absolutely have to collect data in the comprehensive planning process and every other process. We've got to look with a racial equity and social justice equity lens at every single allocation of resources in this city, and I have committed to doing that in the budget, but in every single department, making sure that's a practice. Because you're right, we have terrible inequality in gender pay equity, in racial pay equity, and all many other areas in the way this city operates. And we've got to look at the data, understand the problem, identify targeted solutions. I've also made a commitment that in my mayor's office and in departmental leadership and in every single board and commission in the city, I will work to achieve balance across race, class, and gender and sexual orientation, because we absolutely have to start sharing power. Part of the problem with our city, that where we keep bumping into these same issues, they keep getting worse and worse and worse, is because power is held by too few people. And we have got to open that up, start being more inclusive, start listening to folks, and actually holding ourselves accountable to solving these problems instead of just waving our arms and saying, oh, isn't it terrible? We have got to hold ourselves accountable, and you can count on me for that in the mayor's office, because this is absolutely the essential fight we need to take in our city right now.
Elise.